Hey everyone. Ooh, my hair looks some special. Hi. So again, I'm doing that new live streaming feature on Facebook. God only knows if you guys can see me or not. This new streaming feature, I get it's supposed to be super fancy, but it just looks really confusing to me. So if you're on Facebook, if you're on Instagram, please say hi as you're hopping on so I can talk about what I'm about to talk about. So if you can't see the title of my live video because you're on Instagram, it's going to be talking about how I went from late night secret snacker, eating food and hiding it from my family. Hi, Courtney. To food peace, basically. What that journey looked like and what I had to do to get out of that because it was a habit. And I'm going to talk about that in a second. If this is your first time ever seeing my face, hello and welcome to this live stream. My name is Shakti. You can obviously see that from wherever you're watching this. I'm a health and fitness coach. I'm also extremely metaphysical. The place that I hang out when I talk about health and fitness is how taking care of the temple really affects the spirit, and how when you have peace in your body and you feel good in your body and you feel strong, you show up in the world differently. You show up in your faith differently. You show up in your responsibilities differently. You show up in your family differently. You just show up differently. You're a different person. And that's what I really enjoy doing. I predominantly work with moms, women, either postpartum, close to postpartum, or even extended, and who want to reclaim that peace for themselves, who are struggling to find themselves after children, and who have weird food relationships, who have just weird... Okay, sound is glitching on and off. I don't know why that is, Mariah. Can you guys hear me clearly on Instagram? If you can hear me really clearly, please let me know. Thank you for telling me, but I don't know why that's happening. Okay, Courtney on Instagram says she can hear me. I'm wondering if this is a Facebook connection thing, and not, because on Instagram I'm on my phone and on Facebook I'm on my computer, basically. So I'm wondering what it is. So I'm gonna just chat. Oop, there goes my live stream left on Facebook real quick. All right, so I'm gonna chat for a little bit more. Tell me if it self-corrects, and if it doesn't, then I will. Okay, so Susie can hear me as well. If it doesn't, glitchorama. It's not working on Facebook. Dang it. Hey, everyone on IG hopping on. Okay, so I'm going to have to, so Pam just texted me that my live is not working. Okay, Courtney confirmed that it's glitching on Facebook, but not. Okay, I'm going to finish this live stream on Instagram because I'm obviously on Instagram right now. So if you're on Facebook, go to my IG, which is at meta_Shakti. And I'm going to continue this live stream there. I'm sorry that Facebook is really glitching super bad lately with their live streams. So I'm just going to type my Instagram handle in here. Sorry guys, thanks for hanging with me. Let me just fix this real quick for them. So they can all go to my IG and we'll finish this conversation over here. Okay, so I'm going to end my live stream. Sorry. Okay. All right. So going back to what I was talking about, I am an online fitness coach. I specifically work with women and typically postpartum, in that postpartum window. And a lot of my work is about helping women reclaim themselves and reclaim their health. After having children, a lot of identity loss happens, a lot of poor habits form because you're pressed for time, your stress level has gone up, and your life just doesn't operate the same way that it used to operate before you had children. And I completely get that. Also, if you're neurodivergent like myself and you didn't know that about yourself, after I had kids, it got very bad. And all of a sudden my anxiety, which was sort of like I could handle it in the past, I wasn't able to handle my anxiety at all. It just completely got away from me, and it started reflecting in my food choices and my relationships with food. just to give you a background on what that looked like, I was anorexic when I was 11. As young as 11, I stopped eating food and I stopped using punishment because I thought that I was fat, even though I look at pictures of myself now and I'm like, no, I wasn't. But that's where my brain was. And I've had body image dysmorphia my entire life. And as an adult, I would eat food in hiding. So at night, when I really like to snack, I would stash away whatever food I wanted to eat and I would eat it in secret. And that was a very painful habit for me to have. And I had a lot of shame around it and a lot of guilt around it. And I didn't talk about it for a very, very long time. I didn't even talk to myself about it. I did not want to tell myself the truth about that experience because I had so much shame around my practices. And it wasn't until I became a coach and I joined my fitness company and all of a sudden I was around this conversation of nutrition and fitness that I had to pay attention. I couldn't avoid paying attention anymore because now it was like my job. Not only was I doing it for myself, but now I'm supposed to be helping other people. And it was like, okay, well, I guess now I really have to look at this. And at first, I was like, well, exercise, right? Like I'm going to focus on exercising and I'm going to burn my calories and I'm going to just, keep doing what I'm doing, but exercise. And that worked a little bit. I got some weight down. I got somewhat fit. I started to feel better, but I was still dragging. Internally, I was dragging. I was tired all the time. I still had the shame tapes. Every time I sat in front of a plate of food, I was like analyzing, should I eat it? Should I not eat it? Is this good for me? Is this bad for me? I had stress about having desserts or sweets because they knew that I shouldn't be eating them. That's what I thought anyway. I had all this weird stuff going on in my brain and it was really distracting. Actually, took a lot of energy and took a lot of focus and it was painful. It was like I was trapped in my brain, which was constantly hating on me for choices about food. And I was like, this isn't normal. Like, this isn't healthy. I need to have a peaceful relationship to nourishment. I need to be able to make a decision to eat cake when I want to eat cake and not feel some type of way about it. Not talk to myself for a week after I've had the dang piece of cake. Like, it's just cake. Like, I need to get over this, right? So I started down the road of asking myself hard questions and being in an environment of other people who were doing the same work. And obviously, it was hard to do it alone, but being with other people who were kind of asking themselves the same question opened the door for me to be like, okay, maybe I can be vulnerable here and tell them what's really going on and they can give me feedback and we can give each other feedback. And, I did a 3-day cleanse for my company and they're all food-based. I did a 21-day ultimate reset. That one was really tough. Like Whole30, like if you think about Whole30 where they strip down your diet to just like nutritional basics, that's what the 21-day reset is like. You're still eating food, but it's entirely plant-based and it's very clean and you have some supplements that you take throughout. So that really opened my eyes. After I finished those 21 days, my best friend and I did it together. It was no caffeine, no sugar, no anything. I was like a different person. I lost 10 pounds just from doing that and my brain was not foggy anymore. And I was like, oh, like suddenly I started to really piece together that food and body. Oh, you did the Whole30, do you think? So 21-day reset is similar to Whole30, except you're adding in supplements for like maximum absorption, pre and probiotics. So you're taking some things to help your body along the detox route. But it really opened my eyes to how connected mental health is with physical health and how when those things are out of whack, there's a lot of other things that are going on. And the other thing that stopped happening during those 21 days was I stopped having mental chatter. I stopped having dialogues about food in my head. And I was like, okay, well now I know it's possible to stop having, Advocare, but that's like just supplements. And a lot of people do a lot of 21-day challenges, but it's like just liquids or just supplements or just shakes or just like, that's not what we do. It's food. You get a menu, you get like a whole book full of recipes and they tell you what to have for breakfast, lunch, and dinner and how to cook them and how to prepare them. Like, it's like very thorough. It's like detoxing for dummies is what I call 21-day, like the ultimate reset. Because if you don't know how to cook, if you don't know recipes, if you don't know, like it breaks it down to the point where you literally cannot stray. You cannot it gives you a food shopping list. Like you go to the store and you buy only what's on that list. It's like so simple. That was the only reason I agreed to it because I didn't have to think. So that's why I said, okay, fine, I'll do it. Yes, the 21-day reset is amazing. It's so amazing. I don't recommend it if you're breastfeeding or anything like that, just because when you're breastfeeding, you want to make sure your calories are up. Yeah, see, and that's what I hear all the time. So Courtney is saying that one was so painful. I hear that all the time. And my friends, food should not be painful. That's like the worst. I really want you to hear me when I say this. Your relationship to food should not be painful. You should not be starving. You should not, no, that's not okay on any planet. I don't care. That's not okay. What that does is it drives a wedge deeper into your relationship, your struggles with food. It makes them bigger. It makes them more painful. It makes you feel worse. I do not advocate that. And that would have made me much worse. If I was in an environment or in a community or dealing with a company that advocated for that kind of stuff, I would be so sick in my brain right now. So I'm so grateful that we are not that company and we don't believe like that. We don't teach like that. We don't advocate for that. That's not cool. But really how I broke up with that relationship of like hiding food and shame around food was just trying these things that opened my eyes to the relationship of body and food in a very safe environment with community, with people who were doing it with me, and starting to get very honest and just starting to tell the truths about what was going on inside of me when I felt anxious and I wanted to eat, or when I was stressed and I wanted to eat, or when I was bored and I wanted to eat. Yes, I'm glad you hopped on too. I always feel like it's super divine timing. So breaking up with those habits, because that's what it becomes. And I want you guys to understand that eating like that late night snacking behavior, that is a habit. It becomes a habit. Over time, it becomes just something that you do. You're like, oh yeah, I do this and then I do that. And then eventually what started as just like a craving or whatever becomes a behavior that you've programmed into your brain to do. And it's very hard to interrupt those programs when you keep doing them. Right? So when I started looking at it, I was like, oh, my brain is just like used to this. And I'm doing that mostly when I'm bored or I'm restless and I just started to figure out like, oh, this is how my brain is working. And again, telling myself the truth and then trying different things and talking to different people. Suddenly I was like, oh, maybe I can be free of this. And that's really the thing I want to stress to you is if right now you're having a toxic relationship to your food and your food relationship, you can have a different relationship. It's very important that step one is that you believe that it can be different. Because if you don't believe that it can be different, you'll be there indefinitely. It'll just go on forever. You have to have the belief that it can be different for you. That you can actually have the type of relationship to food where you eat it and it feels good and you feel good and you don't have like mental tension over what you're eating and you're not panicking over what you're eating. You need to begin to believe that you can have ease with food, that you can enjoy it and you know how to be moderate when you need to be moderate and that you won't ever live in that place again. And once I believed that that could be my future or my reality, that's when I really started to open up to living that out and being the person who had ease in her relationship to food. It's like manifestation. It's just like anything else, right? I did my own form of prayer work around that and just asking to be freed of that entrapment that I felt and asking to be supported and guided through freeing myself from these toxic behaviors and these really negative ways of being. And slowly I started to, and then, I tried Portion Fix, which is one of the nutritional programs that comes with our fitness programs. I tried that and I learned a lot about measurements and how portions actually look and, how you use them and where, what's too much of this or too little of that. So I started learning about that. And then eventually I tried another program we had called To Be Mindset. And that one was more about the time of day and recognizing natural cycles and making sure you're very hydrated and making sure you're paying attention to the foods that do what in your body. And so I started to learn a lot from that program. And little by little, I started stacking all these things I was learning without taking anything really as gospel, but just taking learning from all of it. And I've come out the other end as someone who, I do have a pretty structured way of eating. I am flexible when I want to be. I don't hold myself hostage to a schedule. And actually, one of the things I do for my new fitness clients is I give them my schedule. So the same way that I eat, like basically like in my time frame, I just make it for them. I'll ask them some questions to know what time frame works better for them. I'll create a handwritten thing. It's funny, like I'll highlight and color code for you, and then I send you a picture of it, and I'm like, here's like a new model for you to understand organizing your meals more or less. And so far, every client I've sent that to is like, thank you so much. This is so easy. I could totally do this. And on no part of that piece of paper, you're going to be like, you cannot eat this. You cannot eat that. I don't believe in that. You're never going to hear that come out of my mouth. You're not. That's, to me, that just makes your brain more sad. So you won't ever hear me say it. But it began with telling myself the truth. And then it followed up with believing that I could have a different relationship to food. And then it followed that with learning through people and through different things. I'll give you my schedule. I'll send you a picture of it. I have it right here. And then it began through study and having, of course, I had resources. I was already a coach, so I didn't have to go look for a coach because I was a coach. I had my resources. So I said, okay, all these professionals that I work with that make these programs, they're professionals for a reason. I'm going to look at their materials and I'm going to learn from them. And I just started applying what I learned. And little by little, I found my way to the point where now I have a very comfortable relationship with food. Like my father-in-law made cake today. It's like pound cake, Colombian style pound cake. And I was like, oh, this sounds good. I'm going to have some. I just finished my eating window, but it's 15 minutes after my eating window. I'm going to have some because it sounds good. I had a small piece. I'm happy with it. You know, tomorrow, if I want to have more, I'll have it in my eating window. You know, I'll extend my fasting a little bit just to give my body time to process. So it's come to the point where I can now flow and I don't find myself in the binge cycles, because what was happening was I'd be like, oh, I'm eating so clean, I'm doing so good, but you feel restricted and then you end up binging and then you fall off and you're like eating whatever crazy for like weeks and then you're like, oh, I gotta get back, right? How many of you guys have done that? That's the type of stuff that has to end. That has to end in your brain. And there's a path through that, but it really starts with telling yourself the truth and believing that you can have a different experience of reality. And I mean, I stand here today, I don't have that reality anymore. Do I feel more bloated some days? Yeah, of course. I'm like, man, probably had too many pastelitos, probably had too much cake. But I no longer berate myself. I no longer hate myself for it. I no longer have that toxic relationship to myself. And to me, that's the most valuable thing. That's like the greatest takeaway from my whole journey. And that's what I love doing for women now, like helping you get out of that, because you don't have to live there. You don't. You really don't. Like, there is a way out, and it doesn't require being a martyr or starving yourself. It doesn't. You can still lose weight naturally. You can still have energy naturally. You can still feel good naturally. You don't have to suffer. That's my message. So yeah, you don't have to suffer. No, you don't have to punish yourself. You're not here to punish yourself. You're here to love yourself. You can't force yourself into feeling good. Like you can't hate yourself into loving yourself. That doesn't work. Doesn't work. Exactly. But you have to break up with a toxic relationship with yourself and your food. You have to change that relationship. You've got to transition that relationship. And Courtney, I know you're a woman of faith. This is where, praying to be liberated from that. I prayed to be freed of that toxicity, to be guided to freedom. And I truly believe, like in my heart of hearts, that I was led to this work and this community because I wanted to be free so bad. And I thought I was going to be a prisoner forever. And when I found this and I was like, oh my God, it's actually possible. I was like, I want everybody to know. I want everybody to know. That's how I felt. So anyways, I'm going to leave my testimony here. I hope that this really fed your spirit and made you feel like there's hope. If you guys obviously have any questions, please feel free to write to me. I'm around for you all the time. And I will send you a picture of that schedule, Mari, because I know you asked me for that. And I do have an upcoming open group. So I do have a boxing group that starts the 27th is prep week. So if you're interested in joining or you have any questions, please let me know. I'm happy to shoot answers your way. Okay. Love you too, sister. Thank you so much for being on live with me. My pleasure. So much love. All right, my friends, have an amazing night.